It's Thursday at 5 o'clock. We're going to look at your pictures.
Yeah, we're looking at your portrait photos tonight with ETT VENTER. Hello, ETT. Thanks for joining
Hey,
us.
thanks for having me. I'm so excited.
Yeah, I'm so
We are
excited that
too.
you're here. Your work is gorgeous. I love your portraits. Sam was the one that actually introduced me to your work, and I was an immediate fan. Love it, and I can't wait to see what kind of feedback you have for our viewers submitting.
So head to
Awesome.
sdp.io/submit and send your pictures in live, and we'll try to get right into it. First, I want to plug freesdp.com because to celebrate 1 million subscribers, we're giving away Stunning Digital Photography, the #1 photography book in the world, the one we've been pitching to you for the last 6 years. But it's just our way of saying thank you, and you can win one of these awesome cameras or a different camera if you so choose.
Yes, you can win one of these cameras or $3,000. You can log in with your email and stuff. People have been asking about that. There are 5 days left, so go and enter.
Let's take a look at people's pictures.
I want to show off Ed's picture because I was.
Yeah, I love the lighting
Look
on
at
this.
this.
How did you light that, Ed?
So it was a 4-foot photog soft lighter in a speed light, just coming down from the top above the model.
How do
And
you?
and there was also, actually, now that I think of it, there was also a 7-foot parabolic umbrella off to the, like, all the way at the back, just as like a really, really, really subtle fill.
It's so beautiful and soft, and her expression really matches the mood too. I love this photo.
Thanks.
Yeah, where do you get these like 4-foot and 7-foot parabolics? Like, what's the size of the studio that you're working in here? Like
Well,
an
the studio
airplane
that I
hangar?
shot this in is actually kind of small. It's got a low ceiling, so it's a bit of a pain in the ass to shoot in that studio, if
Yeah.
I'm honest. But I had the model sitting down and I had the light modifier boomed out, so I just kind of lowered it down. It was like really. So if you look at the photo, you'll see that the light fall off is quick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You see how, yeah. So I mean, obviously that's happening because the modifier is particularly close to her, so it's like just out of frame. And she was seated, so that's how we made it work.
Okay.
I'm glad you mentioned that because so many people ask me about a small studio, and you can make it work if you're creative, right? By making your model sit down
Yeah.
It's doable.
Absolutely.
It's doable. This is a photo
Absolutely.
by Content Aware Phil. Pretty creative name.
That is a creative name.
Fantastic detail here. I think, like your photo, I think they did a good job of capturing mood. The light is nice and soft. What do you think, Ed?
Yeah, I like it. I'm a particular fan of a lot of shadows and that kind of stuff. That sort of drama in the photos, and there's a lot of that going on in this picture. So I like it. I think it's pretty.
Do you primarily do portrait work in the studio, or do you also do it outdoors on location?
So I actually don't even have a studio anymore. I used to have a studio, but we shut it down because it was really expensive to keep the studio, and there weren't enough people renting the studio. Like in the city that I stay in, most portrait photographers shoot on location.
Okay.
So yeah, we just couldn't afford to keep the studio open anymore. But every single time I need to shoot in the studio, I just rent one. And I would say most of the portrait work that I do, actually I can't even say most. I would say it's like 50-50 actually.
Oh, okay. Yeah. And it's so easy to rent a studio space, right? I mean, that's what we do. We just rent one down the street and it's easy. It's not that expensive. So it's a good option.
Depending on where you are.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
I love the like snapshot style of this. Plus it's got a camera in it, which I always like. Are your pictures very posed, or do you go for a casual style?
Geez, I guess it depends. It depends on the nature of the work that I'm doing, right? Like that photo of mine that you had up just now, man, that was like an hour and a half of me like posing the model into like the tiniest small changes and nuances in what she was doing. I mean, in this particular case, there was a lot of that going on. But I mean, if I think about any portraits that I do for like a corporate or something like that, if I pose too much, then people start to feel a bit like rigid, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And so then I have other ways of kind of getting them to relax and maybe get a smile that's genuine out of them. If that's kind of what those photos call for.
That's smart, and that's a good thing to mention too. I find that same thing when you start posing non-models too much, they get self-conscious and they get very unnatural looking.
Yeah,
So you have to
exactly.
kind
And they kind of look like robots.
of, yes, they get a little robotic. It
Well,
happens.
can you give us a tip for getting that natural expression out of a non-model?
So if I wanted them to look, if I was trying to get them to look happy or sort of smiling or that kind of thing, I just do everything I can to crack a joke. If I can find a way to crack a joke or get them to smile or something like that, that helps. Something that I learned from a Peter Hurley video a couple of years ago is that he'll sort of point his camera at someone, and the moment they start to look stale, then he says, "Okay, cool, a little bit less pain or a little bit less misery." Those are the two that he always says, or that I saw him
That's
say
good.
in one of these videos, and that works like a charm. I use that all the time.
And that makes people smile.
Absolutely. Because they're like posing and they think they're looking natural. And because I've kind of built a rapport with them already, I already have this sort of leeway to say something like that to them. And then I'll say like, okay, that looks great, but can we have that with a little bit less misery? And then of course they laugh at that.
I wish I'd known that last week.
What happened last week?
No.
Don't look at it.
I love the lighting and the tones of this photo too. I don't really. Do you have any constructive criticism for this photographer?
Can I
The
say I
color
would have
was
gone to
actually
like
the first
F8?
thing that stood out to me. I love the color in this photo. I think it's beautiful.
Yeah, I do too.
I'm going crazy over here trying to keep quiet, but I just love your work so much.
Thank you, Sam.
What's your first impression of this photo, Et?
Oh, that's cool. So the one of the first things that I noticed about this photo was there's no light coming from the left of camera. I really like, so what I noticed was I like how the background is dark on the right of the image and it's light on the left of the image, but the subject is light on the right of the image and dark on the left of the image. And that stood out to me immediately, that sort of contrast. I noticed that. And I really, really like the strong expression on the model's face as well.
I do too.
Yeah, great shot, Mick. Huge softbox off camera left.
Any first impression?
Yeah.
I'm finding it a little oversaturated. That's distracting me a little bit.
Yeah. And I don't know if it's just my screen, maybe, but it feels like it almost looks like this. Everything that's dark is so dark that it almost looks like it's just this little piece that's kind of floating in the middle of nothing. That's the first thing that it sort of feels like to me.
Yeah, I see what you mean. A floating head effect, kind of. And they could fix that with some fill light, right, in studio when they're taking the photo.
Yeah, exactly. Like I think one of the things that I learned a couple of years ago was from a behind the scenes photo that I saw of Dan Winters, and what he always does, almost always, is he has like a massive light behind him. It would be like a one of those broncolor parabolic umbrellas, or it would just be like a scrim or something. But it would be at an incredibly low power. Like if that light was firing alone, the subject would still be underexposed by like a stop and a half or 2 stops. And that would be enough to just stop the shadows from being pitch black. It would just bring them up a little. You could still super directional light, even though you've got that one big light coming from behind.
Yeah, that's a really good tip. And just in post for this one, I'd say that like it's a little bit too yellowy, so I'm just going to put it in black and white for now. But photographer, you could just make sure that you're getting those skin tones and those hair tones right, because that's the kind of thing that really sticks out to someone when they're looking at a photo if the skin looks unnatural. How about this one? Hard to not love this one.
This photo makes me happy.
Yes. She's just got the sweetest face, a big, genuine smile and sparkly eyes.
Yeah.
Crazy reflector at the bottom, right? Like, what is that?
I think that it's a reflector and maybe, I don't know. Actually, it's a good question.
Could be one of those, those they use them for headshots sometimes. Those like round. I've never used one before. You guys know what I'm talking about, right?
Isn't that called like the clamshell reflector?
Yeah, I have seen those. They kind of unfold and you put them below the chin just to do some fill.
Yeah.
I don't know. Do you find the catch light distracting a little bit? How much do you think about catch lights? Is it
I think
incidental for
about them a
you?
lot, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I have dark eyes. So even when I was setting up the light for me right now in this thing, I was like, I have to make sure that there's some sort of a catch light going on here because my eyes are so dark that I just look dead inside if there's nothing there. So I think about it all the time when I'm photographing someone because I just want to sort of bring some life into the eyes. So I think about it a lot, but I agree with you, Tony. I do feel like the catch lights at the bottom are like just a little bit too much. But I think it looks cool though. But I think it might be a bit much.
I find myself locked into those eyes and it feels a little alien and weird to me. So I might just take out that reflector in post.
Yeah. Okay.
Or maybe just cut the fill some.
Oh, I'm feeling this one. Don't crop me, Tony. That's what this picture is called.
Oh, man. You can't tell me what to do.
I love these smooth skin tones, beautiful skin tones.
Yeah.
What are you feeling? Is it bumping
I
you?
like
Go ahead, sorry.
I like the color of the dress or the top in relation to her skin tone. I think that's nice. But the only criticism I have, the only sort of criticism that I have is I feel like the background on the left is a little bright because the subject is dark already. She has a very dark skin tone, and then you've got this really bright yellow background. I think what I might have done is I might have just taken that down, like, I don't know, maybe like a half a stop. Because when I looked at this photo, my eye just went straight to the background. That's the first thing I looked at.
It is a very bright background relative to the model.
And it makes the whole picture feel unbalanced because it's very left heavy right now. She's looking to the left. The colors on the left are very bright. And yet it's a symmetrical composition. So it feels like it's going to fall over.
One other thing is that this one piece of the foreground here is in focus, and I find that distracting. So I would just...
We found a real loophole to that. Chelsea cropped you, Elaine.
We don't play
Take
by
that.
the rules here.
I had nothing to do with it. I love the vulnerable expression that she has here. The very delicate hand posing. Like she nailed the hand pose, which is so difficult for people. I don't know. I just find this picture so cool.
I like it too. It feels very feminine. That's what it feels like to me. It feels sort of delicate, and it just feels vulnerable. I think that's a good adjective.
I agree with both of you. I upped the exposure and the contrast just a little bit. I don't know if you two are feeling that. We can all agree to
I think
disagree.
the exposure bump is good. Yeah. In fact, I think the first thing I noticed when I looked at this photo was I felt like the background, I'm assuming that's the sun. That was immediately the first thing I looked at. And so my critique for this one was going to be similar to the last. But the moment you push the exposure up, I didn't actually notice it that much anymore because now I'm sort of drawn into the model because the sides of the model are so dark. So I just immediately look at her.
Yeah, so if we see the before and after here, before, you're right, the sky was the brightest part of the photo. Once you up the exposure, you're locked onto the model, not that
exactly
background.
At what portion of your pictures do you use artificial lights versus all natural light?
So I would say it's probably like 95% artificial. But it's, I just want to emphasize that I'm not sort of an elitist. Like I don't believe that natural light is terrible and that artificial light is the best or whatever. My sort of approach and...
Oh no, he cut off.
He warned us his internet was coming in and out, so we'll keep going.
Am I still gone?
You're back.
You're back.
I'm back. Okay, so where did I lose you guys?
You were saying you're not an elitist, and your philosophy is that, I'm guessing, use both.
Yeah, so the way I feel about it is, if I'm taking a photo, I want the light to look good. If I can make it good with natural light, I'm going to do it with natural light. If I can make it good with artificial light, I'm going to do it with artificial light. And so for me, it's just a matter of what do I need to do in order to make the light look the way I need, and then I'm just going to go ahead and do that. I don't have the patience to set up reflectors and these kinds of things, so I just do it with a strobe, and then I also just feel like I have more control that way as well.
Yeah, I like that philosophy a lot. You're just creating what you want to see, and you're using whatever is available to do that.
Exactly.
I love this picture from Claudio in Portugal, but he missed focus.
Well,
just caught the eyelashes, and that happens sometimes.
I love it. I like that the hand is a little out of focus, just a little.
Yeah, I like that too.
Yeah, I think that's nice.
I love the hand included in the shot too.
Mm.
Really, it feels so disembodied to me. Like, I don't know if it's pulling the wrap around her face or if it's just floating there and her finger pose feels non-deliberate.
Well, let me do this, Tony. Cover up her hand just with your hand so you can imagine the photo without it.
Mm-hmm.
And then suddenly you just have that locked eye contact and the photo doesn't move at all.
I like the hand in the photo. The hand, the way it's done isn't working for me.
Yeah, I
You know
think
what I mean?
that's how I feel about it actually. Now that I think about it, the hand, if I block the hand off and it's just a face, it makes me feel uncomfortable actually.
Yeah, me too.
But I think if the hand could have been in like a softer sort of pose, but I mean, then again, it all depends on what Sophia was aiming to achieve with the photo. If it was this sort of discomfort, of like, I don't know what the hand, like, is the hand doing something or whatever, then I think it's great.
Yeah.
I think the hand is pulling the cloth forward, but maybe we can't see the fingers that are holding it, and so that might be a missing part of the story. You can't necessarily tell that it's doing that, so it just doesn't convey quite right.
Hands are so difficult. Don't you find that
Hands are like my it's like the thing I'm most afraid of, because I either make them, by chance I make them look nice, or I make them look awful.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm like terrified of it.
Yeah, I am too. It's like a hand can really mess up your photo. There's so much going on and they convey so much emotion. It's very difficult. It's very difficult.
And as soon as you try to make a non-model pose their hand, their hands become all robotic and clenched, and you'll never get it right. You just just put your hands in your pockets. That's all we can do at this point.
Or just crop it off.
I am so glad. I shouldn't even say that, but I think smoke is such a cool element to include in photos. And in the 60s and 70s, everybody was smoking, and every photo you look at from the time had smoke because it was just a cool element to include. And I guess now people are vaping, and it looks like this chick vapes because she's got some crazy steam going on.
She's pretending she's the train. Steam train.
We're not supposed to show pictures of train tracks anymore, because people just get run over and stuff. So maybe we should.
I like the tones in that photo.
Yeah, it was cool. Yellow.
Wow.
I like this.
Yeah. I don't know if you guys felt this as well. I just had like such a weird experience. At first I was like, oh, somebody else is holding a lemon in front of his eye. And then when I looked at the angle of his arm, I was like, oh wait, that looks like his own arm. But if I look at it and I tell myself that it's somebody else's arm, my brain totally buys it.
Yeah.
You guys have that experience?
Yes. Now that you say that, I imagine someone else doing that to him, and now it seems kind of rude. Hate when my friends do that.
I like it. I think the only thing, if I can, like, I think it's great. I think this photo is awesome. I think if there's one critique that I have, it would be that is that a lemon pip or a seed or whatever in there?
Oh,
I was thinking about that seed too.
Yeah.
The seed.
Screw that seed, man.
Yeah, I think I would have probably retouched that out, probably.
Get rid of the seed.
It's tough. You include fruit, it's got to be some perfect fruit.
Whoa. I like this.
Okay. Speaking of the use of smoke, this looks like it came right out of 1967, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I like it.
Feelings?
I like it. What I really like about this, particularly, initially, it's the shadows in this photo are so deep, and I like how the rim of his glasses on his left eye, on camera right, I like how that sort of closes off his eyes, I guess. Does that make sense?
Yes. Yeah, because if that weren't there, then you would just lose that completeness, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I love it.
I'm giving Robin a pick.
Ooh, very green.
Yeah, I'm loving the use of color in portraits lately. I think I'm going to have to start trying that on my own more.
Ed, what are your feelings about this?
I don't know. I feel like I don't know. I don't know how I feel about it.
You've stumped
I have mixed feelings. Do you want to hear my mixed feelings? And maybe you can digest your mixed feelings. I feel like the lighting is right. I think the model's beautiful. For me, the styling is off. Like the green on green, I'm not understanding where she's going or who she is. It's just,
Yeah.
there's something not connecting for me.
You know what I think? Do you know what I think? What makes me feel a bit odd about it is that it's like this entire green canvas with this one skin toned piece in the middle at the top. You know what I mean? Like there's everything is green, and then there's this human element at the top of it. And I don't know. I think maybe that's what feels a bit weird for me about it.
What if we cropped it so it was more about her face?
No.
That's cool.
No, Tony said no.
I want to
No?
uncrop it because I can see in the original shot that the crop is coming right down to the feathers at the bottom here. And I think we'd see a little bit of her leg below that, and that might help balance the whole composition a little bit better if they just was a little bit
cool.
wider.
We don't know if he's right, but we can just agree with him to be polite.
Okay. I'm with you.
Okay, guys, what are you feeling?
I think it's beautiful. I just wouldn't have done it on the driveway.
That's the first thing I thought. I just keep thinking about that driveway.
Yeah.
Like
I think
maybe
it's lovely.
grass or
Like
something.
I really like her like really strong features, and then she's got like this expression that sort of accompanies you see how her left or our camera right eyebrow is like lifted a little.
Yes.
Feels so like strong and powerful, but the driveway kind of, you know.
Mm-hmm.
It's the hand that bugs me.
It pulls you out of the magic, the driveway, because I'm like, ooh, she's like beautiful and strong, and she's on a driveway.
Yeah.
Maybe if she had a pendant on and they asked her just to hold the pendant or something. It can be hard.
The hand.
To pose the
You're
hand.
getting hung up on the hand.
The hand is key,
Or
but
just-
the hand feels awkward to me. It feels uncomfortable.
But I still like the picture.
I like the shot too. I'm going to give this one a pick right away. I just love the mood of it.
Yeah, I like this photo as well. And actually, like, I think one of the things that I like about it, I'm not sure what it is that's making this stand out for me, but I like that she's actually in the darker part of the shot. You know, you've got like her arm and everything that's so bright from the sun that's coming in. And it's almost like she's sort of kept aside in the darker part of the shot. I really like that.
Yeah, you make a good point, and it's not uncomfortable. It's almost as though the light parts of the photo are framing her, right?
Yeah.
It feels so soft and natural. I like it too. I think we all agree on this one.
Ed, what's your take on post-processing? Some? None? A lot?
I wouldn't say. To be honest, I think it's that is just a matter of preference. I don't do a ton of it myself, and to be honest, I'm not convinced that that's because I don't like doing a lot of post. I think to some degree it's probably just got to do with the fact that I don't really know how. So I don't know if that's got something to do with it, but look, I try not to make it look like people are like porcelain dolls. You know what I mean? Like, of course, I want to go and take away things that are distracting, but I'm not gonna like completely smooth somebody's face out or anything like that.
The biggest problems we see are people who do too much.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I like your philosophy because we see a lot of overly smooth skin and there's something so uncomfortable about it. Ooh, I saw your eyebrows go up. Is it because of this picture?
I love everything about it. The only thing that bugs me a little is the rose in the mouth, but everything else is incredible. I think it's so beautiful.
Yeah, this is Sarah Bowman. She's been submitting for a long time. Yeah. I love the colors, the tones, everything, and I agree. The flower in the mouth is uncomfortable.
Yeah.
But I really like this picture a lot.
It's beautiful, and I love how the colors of the flowers and the leaves work so well with the color of the water or whatever it is that she's lying in. I think that all works together as well, and the skin tones match all of that as well, and the makeup, and it's beautiful.
It's beautiful.
Is it just me, or does the gray background over here, did that turn purple to you? Does that look purple?
I can see what you mean.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I wasn't seeing it before, but I'm seeing it now that you said that.
Oh, totally. So I'll have to re-import. Sam, do you have any questions for Et? Now we're looking at live photos.
Do. I've got quite a few here.
Oh boy.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we hear you fine.
I hear you.
Oh, okay. You said, oh boy, and I was like, uh-oh. Jim Setzer would like to know, his question for you, Et, is, do you prefer studio or on location shooting?
So that's actually shifted a bit over the last, I don't know, 2 years. I used to love shooting on location, but I've like shifted completely now. I much prefer shooting in studio. But I think that's really more a control thing than anything else. When you're shooting in a studio, you can make exactly what you want. It might take you 3 hours to get there because you're going to spend time tweaking things and such. But I don't know. I think it's just that control that appeals to me a lot.
Yeah, I can see what you mean.
Right.
You really get a chance to shape your light and play with perfecting every little detail.
Yeah, exactly.
Sam, do you have any other questions?
I do, and I have a couple of comments too. Robert Bold says, would you ever test or shoot agency models without having a dedicated studio space?
Absolutely. You don't need a studio. I had a studio for about 18 months, and it was huge and awesome and beautiful. But I haven't had a studio for almost 2 years. It's about 18 months that I haven't had a studio now. And this is my office that I'm sitting in right now. And this behind me is like one of the backdrops that I would shoot on. And like, I mean, why couldn't I just shoot somebody right here in my office? You know what I mean? So, I mean, a studio is great, but you don't need a studio. A studio is just an empty space.
Yeah.
That's it. It's just an empty space. So if you can just find another empty space that doesn't have the label studio over it, you're good.
It's a really good point. Anything else, Sam?
Let's see here. Ahmed Babars, and I'm sure I ruined that name. I'm so sorry. What are the top 3 things that make a great portrait?
Ooh,
Oh, man.
That's a tough one.
Yeah, I don't think there's a right answer to that. I feel like expression is important.
I agree.
Because expression conveys the feeling, right? Well, at least for me, I think expression is probably the thing that is the biggest contributor to how something will feel to me. So I think that's the first thing I would think of. But I mean, the light that you use in a portrait is going to influence that as well. I mean, if we think about some of the photos that we saw just now, like the one, Chelsea, that you said that looked like it was from like the 60s with the guy with the glasses and the cigarette. Like the fact that there was no full light on the one side made the whole thing feel so much more intense, right?
Right.
Or like that photo of the girl with the sunlight on her arm, like that bright light over there and the darker light on her face changed how it felt. So I think that's another thing. Man, I don't know what else. I just feel like expression. Like that's always like if I think about taking a photo of a person, it's expression that conveys a feeling to me.
I agree with you. How many times do you get a picture that's like seems like it should be right, but you don't get that expression that ties it all together? Oh,
yeah, exactly.
Like
I mean, even with that shoot, with the photo of mine that you guys have as the thumbnail, I took so many photos that day that technically and photographically, these are nice pictures because the light's good, the model looks good, everything's nice, but the expression isn't like, it's not exactly there. And then it's like minor. I mean, she could have moved her eyebrow like 1 millimeter up or down, and that would have been the feeling and the expression that would have then brought the photo, into its like purpose, I guess.
Can I ask you a question? Do you have someone else do your wardrobe and styling?
Oh, sorry, I lost you there. Could you repeat that?
Yeah, do you have somebody else do your wardrobe and styling?
I don't. Wait, have I got you guys? Can you?
Yeah,
can you
I
guys
can hear
me?
you.
Yeah, we hear you.
I can hear you.
Okay,
Yeah.
sorry. No, I don't. I had a friend, or not a friend, I had a colleague or somebody that I worked with who used to do styling for some of the work that I did, but he moved to Cape Town, so that doesn't happen anymore. And now, in fact, for this shoot, that photo of mine, my wife helped me find the top that girl wore in that shoot. so no, I don't have a person, but I do have my wife sometimes.
Teamwork is important.
Yeah, but I mean, that's actually a very good example because so many photographers, they're good at the technical part. Maybe they're not good at fashion and they don't think to just ask someone, their wife or their female friend or their other friend, just help me out. What would look good? So That's a really good tip. Just get whoever you can to help you out with those things.
Let's look at some
Absolutely.
more pictures. Let me ask you, do you think this is a model or a civilian?
A civilian.
Civilian. This looks like a model to me.
Me too.
I don't know, I could be
Right?
wrong.
Right away, because he nailed the expression. That's what we're talking about. And that's something that models can do. Like you can say, be intense and look off into the distance, and they will like nail it. And if you say that
Yeah.
to a civilian, they'll be like, and they get all
Honestly,
goofy.
It looks like
Yeah.
I just told him a joke at a dinner party. I've seen this face before.
Yeah, Chelsea's jokes don't do well.
That's awesome.
Honestly, that looks like my future husband. Who is that?
Oh, okay, Sam wants a phone number here.
Okay, Sean, if you could get us this
You're
model's
allowed.
name, Sam is interested.
That's funny. Well, this photographer's from Cape Town, so I mean that's a 2-hour flight from me, Sam. So if you want, I can fly down to Cape Town and find this dude, and I'll give him your number.
All
Oh
right,
my
we have a new
God.
mission.
It's a very complicated love connection, but we're all willing to make it work.
Exactly.
And that was a great photo, by the way.
Yeah, I love the photo. I'm giving it a picture.
Yeah,
Picture.
absolutely.
Let's just jump forward a little bit. What catches your eye? Well, okay, this got my eye. Oh, content overfill again, you trickster.
While
this one-
Tony's doing that, I have a cool comment.
Okay.
Body Snatcher says, "Et Venter is so real and so cool."
he's cool.
That's awesome. Thanks. Who was that? Body Snatcher.
Body Snatcher.
I would
Also,
trust
Matt
him.
Granger. Matt Granger's in the chat too, and he's.
Oh,
That's
hey,
hello.
Matt.
Hi, Matt.
Awesome. Hey, Matt.
I wouldn't trust Body Snatcher. I mean, it sounds like
Yeah.
he's just trying to, smooth things over so he can snatch your body. So be careful.
Yeah, exactly.
What do you guys think of Cheery Grandpa? I really like him.
Yeah, I love it. I love it
too.
I'm giving this one a pick too because it just has so much character to it, and I feel like it. I don't know. So you can tell something about this person, and I think that's the best character in a portrait.
Yeah. I don't know if you guys have experienced this as well, but anytime I take photos of an old person, it almost feels like I can't go wrong.
Yeah, because
You guys,
they have so
you
much
guys
character.
have that experience?
Yeah, they have character on their faces, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's just like you just look at an old person and they're sitting in front of your camera and you just look at them. You could literally coach them like 5% of how you would coach a 25-year-old and you'll have a great portrait.
Do you think that's partially because they're so comfortable with who they are at that point?
I think that's almost certainly got something to do with it. Because you pose like a 25-year-old and then they're going to be like, okay, do I look okay? Should I? And then they're so self-conscious about the chin and like the back and the slouch. And an old person is like, you know what? This is me. Take your photo. Do your thing.
You made the choice. Deal with it.
Exactly.
Yeah. And speaking of, look at this guy.
Oh, bad crop. I'm sorry.
That was a bad crop.
Yeah.
But there.
I love the character in it, right? And he has a fantastic expression. Like he immediately comes across like a model, but I don't think he is.
Yeah. I like the fact that there's no light on his eyes. Creates a little bit of mystery for me.
Yeah, you're right. He's kind of scary but handsome.
Yeah.
There is a certain intensity about it. And what is this
Especially
right
with
here? I'm not a
look at that
doctor, but
vein on his neck. Jeez.
yeah, I was thinking about the same thing. That's all I can see.
That guy's got an axe in his hand. I'm telling you guys.
Yeah, he definitely does. I totally agree.
Yeah.
I think that's a tendon. Or
Wait,
something.
it goes up here, I think. Like, look, it curves around and goes. It's just like a big PVC pipe going right from his brain to his murder hand, I think.
Kind of looks like he swallowed a cane.
Yeah,
You get a pick from me.
you get a pick. That was
That's
cool.
so funny.
Ooh. Oh, this is my dream coat for the winter. I always try to be as warm as possible.
Is that a coat, or did they just take a comforter?
I
And
think that's a blanket, like a comforter.
I think it's haute couture.
I think it's so cool because it seems like a little kid, but she's being all fashion and intense.
I like it.
I like it. There's something
Whoa, look
weird
at those
about it.
eyebrows. Go back in. Are those real, you think?
Ooh. Oh, they did everything. Look at the lips.
Or that looks like
That's how I used to
Wow.
wear lipstick.
Yeah, the hair and everything.
Ooh.
Oh man, it's like they took all the hairpins from my bathroom that you left behind, Chelsea, and put them all in this girl.
I thought the gradient was cool too.
Me too.
There's like
Yeah.
a natural shape to it.
Okay, clearly this caught our attention. Is there anything you want to contribute to all of this?
So the only thing that kind of that I feel weird about, I guess, I guess maybe the only criticism I might have is I don't know where to look.
There's a lot happening, right?
You know what I mean? Like, and that's not necessarily a bad thing, but I looked at it and I immediately looked at the part of her coat that's in front of her. And then I saw the part that was behind her. And then I saw her face looking down. So I kind of looked down. I'm not like, my eyes don't know where to go. My eyes are kind of bouncing around all over the place.
I agree with that assessment. But every time I look at something, it pays off. Like, I'm like, whoa, the hair.
Exactly.
Whoa, the face.
Exactly.
I also wanted to crop it. The negative space was a little bit uncomfortable. Let's jump for
That kid's too happy.
Okay.
It reminds me of my depression.
Ashley's intense, right?
I want to party
Like
with
Ashley's
Ashley.
a problem.
I'm gonna party with Ashley. Too much smoothie for me. I think you smoothed Ashley a little bit too much.
Yeah, you're right. Ashley doesn't need it.
She doesn't need it. She's perfect the way she is. Anything else, guys?
Well, I mean, I have a predisposition to loving tattoos.
Yeah,
I have a little sleeve myself, but that stood out to me, obviously. But she feels angry, and I don't know why. That's like the first thing I thought is like, why is she so cross?
I don't know. Maybe she's not. Maybe this is how she celebrates life.
Yeah.
Semi-related question. I want a tattoo. What should I get?
Ooh, that is not a question you should ever ask.
Yeah, it
Ever.
is. Should I get a portrait of you?
I will give you $5, $5 American bucks if you did that.
I do like $5. I'll consider. All right. What's everyone's first?
To buy a couple of tacos with that.
I could buy 2 tacos at the taco trucks in New Haven with that, Sam.
Bingo.
Keep it local, Charles.
Get the portrait.
So, can I ask your first impressions on this, Et?
Her left hand makes me feel a bit it's like it feels like remember how earlier we were talking about how a model just knows what to do with their hands?
Yeah.
And someone who's not a model, like all of a sudden their hands are like all over the place. That's what the left hand in this portrait feels like to me. It was like literally the first thing I looked at actually was her hand.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
It's intense. I felt like the processing on the face was way too much.
Yeah.
Oh, man, I can't see these details. I wish I could see it in that sort of clarity that you guys are seeing it.
Well, yeah, just to make the audience know, Et is seeing things like he's seeing our screen through his screen. So when our guests are here, they're not seeing everything as incredibly sharp as we are. So sorry about that. I'm sorry. I wish you could have come to our house.
You're invited.
I like that last one.
This one?
No, the previous one.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I really like that.
Me too.
Oh, it's even nicer in black and white.
You do? You think so?
Yeah.
Because she has such beautiful skin tones. So, yeah, I think they'd have to tweak the black and white a bit, but I do like it.
I think so too, yeah.
Okay. Good one. Good on you, Rodolfo. What a sweet, natural expression.
Yeah, I think it's a nice classic portrait. It totally works.
Maybe a little underexposed. Okay, let's keep rolling. Now, what do you think the story is here? What happened?
I'm not sure what happened. But whenever I saw like this, you know how I started learning about photography, you learned all these rules that just like got stuck in your brain. Like, don't ever shoot above ISO 200, and these kinds of things that were like programmed. And if I think about one of the things that I learned when I was, learning, was if somebody's jumping or if you're shooting up, there's got to be something below them so that you know what they're jumping from or off or whatever. Otherwise, there's no like grounding to the shot. You know what I mean?
She's floating and her foot is cropped really close, so we don't know what's happening down there, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I think the other thing is that this background is extremely busy.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
But
she's a great model. Like, just to be able to carry a natural expression and pull off this
Yeah.
pose is remarkable.
Look at her expression.
Yeah.
How did she do that?
I would also hit it with some chromatic aberration
Sure.
fix because you got some crazy stuff going on.
Babies, am I right?
Oh man,
Babies are tough.
babies are tough. I've actually never done like any newborn photos myself. Well, not for
Lucky.
a client, but two of my friends had a kid, and they asked me to take those photos, and it was terrifying and so difficult. Like I would rather do like 100 portraits in a day than take one photo of a baby. It's impossible.
It's very difficult. You have to pose
Yeah.
them. You know what else I found? Really difficult to balance the skin tones because they're always sleeping and you don't want it to look creepy. Like,
Yeah, and like newborns, their skin tones, it's almost as if like their skin tones are still finding their feet. You know, there's like
they're
you have to
blotchy.
do so much retouching on like a newborn. Oh my gosh.
And your portrait shoot could be interrupted by a shit. That happens a lot. And you're like, what kind of client is this?
But that's just any portrait shoot.
Babies are unprofessional.
Oh, that's funny.
Oh, body snatcher.
snatcher. Your friend, body snatcher. I told you.
There we go.
All
I
right.
like the color.
Let him have it.
You like it?
Yeah, because it's like it all feels kind of uniform, right? Like her skin tone and her hair and the background, it's all it's so similar, and I like how uniform it is. I don't know. I feel like normally I wouldn't have liked that, but I like it.
I do too. I see what you mean. It's like a pink wash.
Yeah, exactly.
Even her hair has a pinkiness to it. I like it too. Good job, body snatcher. This
Hey guys,
is
can I ask a question that just came in that
Oh,
I
yeah,
thought,
Yeah, please do.
wanted to ask? So, Kiernan, there's actually a really positive conversation happening in the chat right now around this question. Kiernan Rolandy says, I am a photographer, age 16. I have autism and anxiety. And I started photography about a year ago. Do you think just because someone has autism, they can't be a photographer?
Oh, absolutely not. I have a friend who's got cerebral palsy, and he's like, in one of those motorized wheelchairs, and he's a photographer.
Yeah. We actually just met with a girl, Marley, and she's in a wheelchair and she has to have her camera held up and then she uses an app on her phone to take pictures. I mean, you can't let things limit you like that. You can do it.
Yeah.
And you know what's really cool is that they're going to have a unique perspective, right? Like not everyone has autism. You're going to see the world differently, and that's going to show in your pictures. It's special. You just need to embrace it. It's going to be good. Yeah.
I just want to say that the people in the group are being very supportive, and they're all sharing stories about their own issues like that and how they're overcoming them. It's nice to see. We have a good group of people out here.
That's amazing.
We really do. We do. What do you think? Oh,
Yeah.
Oh, I forgot. Sorry, I forgot what I was going to say. What do you? I think for me on this photo, the backlighting is a little distracting because it's like shining pink through her nose. I don't know how you guys feel about that.
Yeah.
Didn't think about her
And
nose.
on my screen, I don't know if I'm seeing right, but on my screen it looks like the focus is off a little. Is it?
Oh, let's see. Let's zoom way in.
Oh no!
They nailed
know.
it on her eye, actually,
Whoa,
to
it's
a
actually
remarkable
frightening.
level.
Yeah, that is incredibly accurate focus.
I wish there was more context, though. Like maybe it's taken on a city street or something, but it's just so tight that we just have a weird blob of lights and
Yeah.
kind of an over-the-shoulder
Yeah.
look.
Maybe in black and white, it would take away the distractions of this bokeh. I don't know, guys.
Yeah.
Let's keep rolling. Cherry blossoms. This angle is not. I'm not connecting with her. I think because of the angle. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I agree with you.
And the arm pose is tough, right? It's almost at a 90-degree angle, and I think you want to avoid 90-degree angles. You want to get a little bit more of an angle or a
To show
little bit
off your
less of an
muscles.
angle. Yeah, in your case.
Oh.
That's cool.
Mm.
I actually like that picture a lot.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
He's really connecting here. The eye contact brings you to his hand. That's nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, it tells you something about him.
Feels real. Ooh. There's something I really like about this, but is it like their flash sync? Like why are we getting the shadow coming up. Is that the background or? See what I mean here at the bottom?
Yeah, it definitely
Yeah.
could be a flash sync issue, a T6i. Yeah, I think 250th might be a little too fast for it.
It's
That
cool
makes sense.
though.
Good eye choice.
It made me feel like the photographer said to this guy, like, okay, stand over here, let me take this picture, and then the person was like, okay, let me just fix my head, and then he took the shot anyway, and that person wasn't like ready for it. That's what it feels like, but not in like a totally negative, awful way. It feels like that in like like I smiled when I saw the shot. It's fun.
There's something real about it, right?
Yeah.
Also, I really love the green with the gold here. I love colors, color contrast like that.
Yeah.
Okay. Uh-oh. Too much. What do you guys think?
Absolutely.
She's getting lost back there.
Mm.
I feel like I have to send a search and rescue team for her.
Yeah, it's either
I'm
got
a
to be
huge
more
fan
or less.
of like. Oh, sorry.
No, I'm sorry. I was just saying it had to be either more posy and fashiony or less. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
not quite there.
Yeah.
And I think she's wearing a sweatshirt, like a hoodie.
And we
You know,
hate
like
those.
that?
I love hoodies, but okay. Ed hates
I'm just
them.
kidding, Sam.
This poor child, they made her do this.
Yeah, I can tell from
Exactly.
her fingernails that she's not a dress wearer.
Yeah.
She just wanted to be having fun that day, you guys.
Yeah.
We're going to pour one out for our homegirl. That one got Justin. I love when I make a dumb joke and it makes Justin laugh.
I laughed too. I was just muted. I was.
I like this one a lot. How you feeling it?
Yeah, this is cool. I like it a lot. I like the darker background as well because it sort of keeps me with the subject. And my eye keeps going to his shirt though. That is one thing. I think if I could offer one piece of criticism, my eye just keeps going down to what's written on his shirt.
Clothing can be difficult, right? If you have too many
Yeah.
logos or too busy of a pattern, it can really steal the show.
And it's just
Yeah.
imbalanced because we have like nothing at the top of the frame and then that very powerful visual element at the bottom. So check the edges of the frame.
That crop was good. I also felt like this crop, I felt like the other crop told a different story. Like it was a little uncomfortable, but it almost fit. I don't know. I'm just saying what I feel.
Just underexposed, right?
All right, this picture, so much is right about it, but it makes me uncomfortable. Can I get some feelings from you guys?
So what feels odd for me about this one is that it almost looks like she was just composited onto that background. Does anybody get that vibe?
Yes. Too
Like
much
I like
bokeh.
this girl could have literally been photographed in a studio somewhere and then composited onto the background. I mean, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but I mean, if that's not but that was my initial feeling.
Yeah, I wonder why that is. Sometimes just too much artificial light can cause that.
Yeah.
It's definitely not a comp because nobody would have the patience to trace around hairs like that.
Yeah. I think, you know what I think it is you're right. It is the light, because if you look at the light in the background, that's hard light. That's like a midday sunlight that's going on there, but the light on the subject is like this really soft, pretty, beautiful light, which would never happen at midday within that context.
Yeah, I think you guys nailed it. I knew you would know what was up. Also, her dress is more lit than her face. I just pulled down so you can see it's just, we need the exposure a little brighter on her face. A quick fix in editing is you can expose for the face and then take, is this a radial filter? Put it on the face, and then you can drag down the exposure of the background, and then suddenly the
Bingo.
face is brighter.
Yeah.
All right. Environmental. She's got her nail polish remover out. I'm spotting that. I'm seeing what you're doing.
Yeah, this feels like a portrait of a teenage girl, right?
Yeah.
Wait, a 1 second exposure?
What?
It says it's a 1 second exposure. Could that be right?
Why?
Is she alive?
Did she
Oh,
take?
she's so still.
On a tripod, maybe?
Did she take this picture of herself?
Yeah. This could be Mega Zero Miko.
Wow. I'm scared.
Who's Mega Zero Miko?
Maybe this
Everybody.
person. All of us were all Mega
We
Zero
all
Miko.
are. Okay. Reflecting. She is.
We're all at a loss for words. Maybe it's time to wrap up the show. Sam, do you have any questions for Et before we head out of here? Well, is any of these?
But look at this.
Yes, I definitely do. Okay. I don't know if this is Andrea or Andreas, but can you ask, I'm asking, where do you get your inspiration or ideas from?
Oh man, that's probably the thing I struggle with most, if I'm honest. To be honest with you, I've tried so hard to like find a way to go and look for inspiration, but that doesn't work. I think maybe I'm just not creative enough to like go out and find the inspiration. For the most part, I come up with an idea for a photo because I'm just standing like in a line one day and I think to myself, hey, wait, that would make a cool photo. And then that's what leads me to make the photo. But it doesn't, I can't like actively try and come up with something like that. I think I'm just not creative enough.
No, I think that's the creative process. Do you have to just trust that a new idea will come to you?
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Like I pretty much just hope that at some point something's gonna come to me, you know, like that. Like I have a portrait of my wife that I was literally standing in church one day and I just thought to myself, like, I just remembered what it was like literally the first moment I ever saw her, like what the experience that I had, the first moment I ever looked at her. And I remembered like how that felt. And now at this point, actually, we weren't married yet, but we were together for like 4 years or something like that. And I just remember thinking to myself, like, I want to put that feeling into a photo. I want to make her look the way, or I want to give the viewer the feeling that she gave me when I saw her for the first time. So that inspired a photo. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's really beautiful. You're so sweet. But I also know what you mean from a creative's perspective. Sometimes I feel like another idea is never going to come to me. And then I just tell myself, like, chill, like it's going to come. Just calm down and look around you and take in your environment and it will come to you, right?
Yeah. I will say this though. I definitely get super inspired and I get ideas for photos when I watch movies. Watching any kind of film inspires me like crazy because I'll see something that'll make me feel something and my brain will just go off on this bonkers tangent and I won't pay attention to the rest of the movie because all I can think about is this like one idea or this one feeling. That happens a lot. That happens to me a lot.
So what are some of your favorite movies where that has happened?
Jeepers. I watched one the other day that made me think of something like this, but I can't remember what it was. I have a terrible memory.
I do
terrible,
too.
terrible memory.
I'm going to throw some out there. The Coen brothers do that for me.
Oh, really?
Yes. Have you seen their show Fargo?
I haven't seen it, no, but I've heard it's great.
It's really great, and it's
so like the best show ever.
It's really beautiful. It's really beautiful. But I relate to the feeling. There are shots where I'll see them in their square in a movie, and I think, ooh, that's so symmetrical and square, and I need to try something like that. Like Wes Anderson is like that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what that reminds me of? I had a lot of that with Mr. Robot. Did you guys watch that?
Yeah.
Tony did, yeah.
Oh my gosh, they had those like ridiculous or those shots where they would have the subject like in the like total bottom corner of the shot with like this massive negative space.
It is an amazing show.
Incredible for me, yeah.
Yeah, they use compositions that you've never seen before. And if you study that kind of thing, you're like, where the hell did they come up with that idea?
Exactly. It was awesome. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh, and also I'm watching The Handmaid's Tale right now. Have you ever seen that show?
Oh my gosh.
Oh my God.
Yes, Ed, you need to watch.
The colors in that show. The colors in that show will make you want to go out and shoot just right when you're watching it.
Awesome. That's amazing.
This shot from Candy, and when I first saw it, I thought this reminds me of some HBO show where women murder somebody.
Oh, yeah.
Don't you think so? She looks a little bit devious. It's such an unconventional portrait. And I don't know if she's just bored at a party, but she has a certain intensity to her that I love.
Absolutely. I like how like strong she looks in the photo. And I feel like the plants behind her are actually so misleading because she looks, like you said, she looks like she's ready to kill someone. And then there's like this softness that the plants bring. I don't know.
Do you feel like
There's
that's
something about it.
wrong, or do you think that that's adding that contrast that makes it?
No, I think it's great.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think it's wrong at all. I think it's awesome.
It is awesome. I'm giving
Yeah.
them a pick. I don't know what that means.
A couple of comments here. Is that all right to?
Yeah, sure. Let's hear those comments.
First one is Rob Tillett's imagery. He gave a $20 pay for congratulations on 1 million. I could not function without the multitude of resources you provide. He's
Thank
always
you
very
very
generous
much.
with his money on these shows.
That's really sweet.
And I have one question and one comment. Two short questions. Mark Randall wants to know, at how long do you spend typically on a photo shoot?
If it's a portrait, I would say the lighting, like if I'm shooting something in the studio, the lighting on its own will probably take me like an hour at least, because I might have like a specific idea and a specific plan. So there's a good chance I'm going to spend a good hour and a half just getting the lighting to look the way I want. Sometimes it's not like that. If I'm shooting like a couple months ago, I took photos of some corporates and they had this beautiful building and I just took them outside. I mean, in that case, the lighting took me like 10 minutes to get looking the way I want. And within that context, taking that portrait or that headshot, I mean, that's like 5 minutes, 10 minutes. It's just, I just have to get something out of the person. That's easy. But if I'm trying to make something myself, like if I have an idea for something that's more intentional and so on, it might take longer. I mean, that might be like a 3-hour process.
Last question is from Word, W-E-R-D. And I don't know, I actually think I do know the answer to this, so it's up to you if you want to get into it or not. But he says, Chelsea, ask him about the check boxes on his hands.
Yeah, that's awesome. Okay, so let me see if I can just put this on the thing. So I have a terrible memory. And every single day of my life, I write down the things I need to do on my hand so that I constantly see them so that I don't forget. And there's a whole science and psychology behind checking boxes. And checking boxes helps you feel motivated and get stuff done. And so what I used to do was I used to draw the boxes on my hand every single day. And I got tired of drawing them on my hands. So these are tattooed on there.
That's
Oh,
awesome.
but you change the words every day?
Yeah. So every single morning when I get into the shower, this gets washed off. And then when I get out the shower or as soon as I sit down with the to-do list app on my phone, I write down what needs to get done.
I love it.
I
love
love
it.
that
I just
too.
have a Post-it note, and that's not very cool.
Have you seen Memento?
Yes, I have.
Okay,
This
good.
is amazing.
Okay, good. At least we found some common ground.
I was going to say.
I will say.
Oh, go ahead.
Sorry, I will say this though. When I told my wife the idea, she was like, "Dude, that is a terrible idea for a tattoo." And this is like a month before we got married, right? So I like tried to convince her, and she's like, "No, I'm not having it." And then I said to her a week before our wedding, I was like, "Shan, what if on our wedding day the first point says marry Shan?" And she was like, "That's a pretty great idea. Go ahead and do it."
She's really worried about your bad memory.
Yeah.
That's so cute. That's a great story. You've been an incredible guest. You've had so much good feedback. You're so happy. I love you.
I am a happy guy.
Will you come
Thank
back
so
again
much,
sometime?
Chelsea. I would love to.
That would be great. Guys, check out Et's work. His
Much
website is
better, really.
incredible. Follow him on Instagram. He has beautiful pictures there. You're going to love it. You won't regret it. And thanks so much for joining us.
Next week, we should have mentioned this earlier, but we have this guy, some of you might recognize.
Oh, yeah. Kai
Wong
Wong is going to be with us. And the topic is anything goes, whatever. Just submit whatever picture.
So go to sdp.io/Kai Live and hit reminder. What's that, Sam?
From last week?
I'm sorry, Sam, what?
Was there a winner from last week?
No.
We're asking.
We stopped that.
We announced the grand prize winner, so they got like the year of the whole Adobe suite. And then, so guys, we've just paused that for now, and we're thinking about doing better prizes less frequently, but we are not sure right now. So we'll get back to you with that.
Okay. Sorry, guys.
Sam, thanks
Sorry,
so
Tony.
much. Thanks so much for joining us, Sam, and for introducing us to Et. So thankful for that. And thank you, Justin, of course, for juggling the
Thank you,
madness.
Sam.
All right,
Okay.
thanks, guys.
Yay.
We'll see you next week with Kai Wong. Any sort of picture you want to send in?
That is all.
Bye.
Sorry, I did not mean to cut you off. With
That's
Tigar
okay.
There.